Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video I will be sharing with you guys how to make this beautiful A-line dress with trumpet sleeves. So if you're interested in learning how to make this, keep on watching and let's get started. So guys, to make this dress you'll be needing your fabrics and sewing materials, of course. So I have this fabric here. It's 6 yards and I ended up using about 3 yards of this fabric to make this dress. I would advise that if you're on the bigger side, you have at least 4 yards of fabric so that it will be enough for you to cut out the sleeve as well. So let's go ahead and start cutting. So guys, first thing you're going to do is to cut out some piece of the fabric, which is what I've done here. And what you're going to do is, looking at this point here, you're just going to come to the edge of the fabric and you're going to, from that point, fold it into two to give you something that looks like a triangle. So guys, once you've arranged your fabric properly, you're going to have it looking something like this. Now what we're going to do is to start taking our measurements from this top here, and this part here is going to serve as the middle of our dress. So now what I'm going to do is to come to this point here. From the top, I'm going to come and divide my shoulder measurement by 2. So go ahead and divide your shoulder measurement by 2 and add about half an inch to that, and wherever you have that point, go ahead and make a straight line across, just like you see that I did here. So this is going to be my shoulder line. So on this shoulder line here now, I'm marking from the middle my shoulder measurement divided by 2, so I made a point there. And from that point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and then slant it into the neckline to give me my shoulder slope. So guys, after doing this, the next thing I want to do is from this new point here, I'm going to go down by half of my armhole measurement. Don't go slanted like this. It's not going to come out nicely. Just go ahead and go straight down from this point. And what I have is 7. My armhole measurement divided by 2 is 7. I'm going to be leaving a formula on the screen for you guys to be able to calculate yours and make your own points there. So when you've done that, go ahead and slant this into the side, just like you see me doing in this video. So when you're through with that, the next thing I want to do is from the shoulder line again, I'm going to come down by 2.5 inch and I will come in again by 2.5 inch. This is because I'm cutting on the actual fabric, so the extra ½ inch I'm adding is going to serve as my stitching allowance. So I just went ahead to now create a round neckline using my curve. So that's all for the neckline. So next thing you are going to do is on this armhole line, you're going to divide it into 2 equal halves and then go in from that point by ½ inch. And when you're through with that, you're going to come back to this line, divide your bust measurement by 4 and make a point there. And when you're through, just go ahead and connect every point together using your curve to get an armhole. So guys, when you're through with that, the other part is actually very easy to get. Now you're just going to measure the body part and then the full length you want your dress to be. So from the shoulder line at the top, you're going to place your tape and mark down to measure all the way down to how long you want your dress to be. So for mine, I want it to be 33 inches, but I'm marking 34 so that by the time I'm done stitching it down, it comes down to 33. So I use the 1 inch to stitch it down. So I am still taking the measurement on the other side as well. So from the shoulder, I am also marking that 34 inches down here. So I'm just going to connect this new 34 point I have here to meet the other one I marked in the middle. And once you've done that, you're going to come back to this armhole area, and let's remember that the measurement we have here is our bust measurement divided by 4. So I'm adding extra 2 inches to that and I'm recurving my armhole. So this extra 2 inches is going to be for ease because this is a free dress, and also for our stitching allowance. So now the next thing I want to do is I'll mark my bust point, and just from the bust point as well, just extend the same measurement I did up here, just like you see me doing like this. I'm just snatching it to meet the bust point, and from this bust point I'm going to use my ruler to connect a slant. So it's not going to be a straight line. Just look at what I'm doing here. I'm not making it straight, I'm actually curving it to give me like an A-line shape. So by the time I'm done cutting this out, you guys would understand what I mean. So I slanted it down to meet the curve I have at the end, and you can see how it looks. It's not a straight line, it's actually slanted. So this is what I have here. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is cut this out. So guys, this is what it looks like after I was done cutting. I decided to add some length to the dress because I was scared that it might end up being too short. So I'm going to use this now to cut out the back piece. So for the back piece, I folded a piece of fabric into two. So what I have here is a fold. It's folded into two equal halves. It's not slanted, it's folded straight. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and do, as you can see now, I'm marking 1.5 inch all the way to the end of this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and use a ruler to connect a straight line. This is my zipper allowance. So from this zipper allowance now, I'm going to place the front piece. So I'm placing the front piece here like this on this zipper allowance line, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down so that it stays in place, and I'm going to use this to cut out the back piece. So first I'm going to extend the shoulder line to come out like this, just like you see me doing in this video. And now from this new shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my back neckline. This is 1 inch because I'm making a turtleneck top dress actually. So this 1 inch here, I'm just going to curve the back neckline just like you see me doing like this. This is the only difference between the front and the back. So I'll go ahead now and cut every other thing the same except the neckline, which is what I have drawn out already. So guys, I'm done cutting it out. So what I'm going to do now, as you can see, I'm just pinning together the two back pieces because I went ahead to separate the pieces into two. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to measure how long I want my zipper to be. So from this point here, my zipper will stop here. So zipper is going up from here. So from this point down to the end of this dress, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch it down. So I've made a stitch there, and this is what it looks like. So this top here now, from here all the way to the top, I'm going to be placing a zipper. So this is the zipper I have available right now. So I'm just going to go over to the sewing machine, open it up, and then stitch on it like this, and do the same thing for the other part of the zipper as well. And then when I'm done fixing the zipper, what I'm going to do is to join the shoulder part of the front and the back pieces together. So this is the front piece. I'll go over when I'm done stitching the zipper and just join the shoulder together here, and do the same thing for the other side as well. So this is what I had after I was done stitching the zipper at the back. You can see what it looks like, and of course I've stitched down the shoulder area. So the next thing I want to go ahead and do now is to create the collar for the neckline. So for this neckline, we're going to be making use of a turtleneck collar. So I have this plain pattern paper here. I want to quickly go ahead and draft the pattern here. So first thing we're going to do is create a straight line, and then just create a point to serve as the middle. It's not actually like a middle, but just get a point there, just like I did here. Then you bring your actual dress that you're making back, and you're going to first of all measure the back neckline. So you measure from the zipper area down to the shoulder line, that line where you join the shoulder together. And what I had here was 4.7 inches. So from the middle point here, I'm marking that 4.7 inches. And when you've made that point, just label it B so that you know that this is the back neckline. Now to get the measurement for the front neckline, you can go ahead and measure the front, the whole front, or you fold it into two just like I did, and then from the shoulder here, go ahead and measure to the end of the fabric, and whatever you have there, that is your front neckline. And what I'm going to do is to go ahead and make a point just like I did for the other side. So I'll label this area front. So now the next thing I want to go ahead and do is from this point here at the front, from this point here, you're going to go up by 1 inch or about 0.7 inches. So when you've done that, make a point and connect from that point, connect a slant, make a slant to meet the point in the middle, just like I did here. So now it's time to get the length for our collar. So from this point I made here, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch, and I can see I slanted my tape a little bit inside. So after getting that point, just go ahead and connect it like this, just like I did, and do the same thing at this middle point. Go up by 1.5 inch and do the same thing at the end. Go in a little bit from the back and make the same 1.5 inch point. So after doing this, just go ahead and connect all the points with your curve rule, just like I'm doing right now. So guys, this is the band. I will just make a point here, 1 and 2 here, just to differentiate the front and the back. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and I'll be using this to cut on our actual fabric. So guys, this is the fabric. It's in a fold. So I'm going to be placing the part labeled 1 right on this fold I made, just like you see me doing like this. Don't worry yourself if it's not looking straight. Just ensure that it's straight on the fold you made, just like you see the way I'm doing mine, and just go ahead and pin it down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I'll be cutting it about 1/2 inch away from the actual pattern, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces so that I'll use one for the actual front, and then the other one will serve as a lining piece. So this is what I have. So now I'll go ahead and iron my stay to these both pieces to give it strength. So this is what I have for the 2 pieces. I did it for the both of them. So this is what I have. So while I was doing that, I also went ahead to fold in a tiny piece that I want to use for my loop. So it's 2 inches long. So I'm going to fold it into 2 like this, just like you see me doing like this, and you're going to place it about 1/2 inch away from the top of your fabric. So I will just go ahead and pin it down. Ensure that it's about 1/2 inch away from the top of the band, and then cover it with the other piece. So I will go ahead and make a stitch from about 1/2 inch away again from the end of this piece all the way around into this other side, leaving the longer part outside. So I did that, turn it around to the right side, and went ahead to iron it, and this is what it looks like. So now I'll just fold it into 2 equal halves like you see me doing like this, and make a notch in the middle of the band. So remember, I left some space here and here so that we'll be able to stitch this to the neckline. So now we're going to bring the dress over, and just like I did on the band, I'm going to go ahead and get the middle of the neckline for the dress. So I'll just go ahead and make a notch here as well, and we're going to place the band. So first we're going to be placing it from the inside of the dress. Can you see what I'm doing here? Place it first from the inside, and you're going to pin it down and extend it all the way to the end of the neckline. If you've done it well, you see that it exactly fits into the neckline. So when you've done that, go over to the sewing machine and stitch it down until you get to the other end of the neckline. So guys, I've made the first stitch all the way around. So this is what it's looking like. So now we're going to place all the zipper allowance and everything into the band, and then use the remaining part of the band in front to cover it up. Can you see what I'm doing here? When you've done it, just go ahead and hold it with a pin, and then from here you can go ahead and continue doing this until you get to the end of the band. So I'm going to head over to the sewing machine now and make a top stitch while I fold this in. So my loves, after making the top stitch, this is what I have. You can see how the neckline is looking really nice and clean. So now what is left here is I'm going to be placing a button to the back of this neckline, and then I'll go ahead and finish up the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I've brought a basic normal sleeve. I already drafted a normal sleeve, so I'm just going to be turning it into a trumpet sleeve. And to do this, I'll go ahead and measure what I have here at the end of the sleeve, and what I'm going to do is I'm dividing it into 4 equal parts. So whatever you have there on yours, divide it into 4 equal parts, make points there, and then draw straight lines with that points. So after drawing straight lines, you're just going to go ahead and cut on the lines, leaving about 1/2 inch at the top without cutting that part. So this is what you're going to have by the time you are through cutting it, just the way I did. So to use this on the actual fabric, I went ahead to fold my fabric into 4 places because I want to cut the 2 sleeves at the same time. So I placed the middle part of the pattern on the fold. Then from that part, I measured 2 inches before placing the other part, then 2 inches again before the other ones all the way to the end. So I had 2 inches difference between all of them. And then the length for my sleeve was longer than the pattern paper that I had, so I just went ahead to extend my sleeve all the way down a little bit, and then just gave about half an inch stitching allowance to the other side. So basically that's how you can use your pattern to spread and get this type of sleeve. And as you can see, I just went ahead to cut it out. Now if you want your sleeve to be bigger, you can decide that the difference between each leg of this pattern paper can be as wide as 3 inches, depending on how wide you want your sleeve to be. So I just went ahead to make a notch at the middle of my sleeve, just like you see me doing like this. Now we'll go ahead and attach it to the actual dress. So to do that, you just place that middle notch we just made on the shoulder line on the dress, just like you see me doing like this, and you're just going to go ahead and pin it down. So I just pin it down here, and when you arrange the sleeve into the armhole, you can see what I'm doing right here. You see that it gets to the end exactly, and you're just going to pin it down as well. You do the same thing for the other side. So I'll head over to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch the armhole and the sleeve together. So I've attached the sleeve to the both parts of the armhole, and this is what we have here. And I've also gone ahead to fold the ends of my sleeve so that it looks nice. So basically we're almost done with this dress. All that is left is for me to hem the sides. So I'm just arranging this in place to turn it over to the wrong side. So what I'm going to do now is to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch down from the sleeve all the way to the end of this dress with the 2 inches stitching allowance that I gave this dress while I was cutting. So I'll do the same thing for the other side as well, and when I'm done, I'll hem the end of the dress. So this is what the dress looks like finally after I was done hemming the ends and of course stitch down the sides. So this is how cute it looks on me. I absolutely loved how it came out, and of course I fixed a button to the back. So we've come to the end of this tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be seeing you guys in my next one. If you're yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button. Bye.